Hi guys! Today I want to finish a necklace that I started the night that we had the TGBE, I guess Midsummer Market thing, where we had this Very Berry kit that we worked from, and Kristen did a tutorial where she showed us how to use the diamond glaze that came in the kit to make a mosaic in the bezel that came with it. But I didn't do a mosaic necessarily. I just piled a whole bunch of these berry type beads in my bezel and then poured the diamond glaze on top of it. I'll link to that presentation, so if you want to use some diamond glaze and do all that, you can. But I wanted to grab bits from the rest of my kit and make an actual necklace with my pendant. So this was the Very Berry kit. I'm still a ton of beads to work with, to make things with. At some point when I figure out what to do with the rest of this, I will film how to do this part. I want to make these into earrings, to do 2 of them, and I gotta figure out what I want to do at the top of this. So I'm gonna figure that out. But for the meantime, I'm going to be making a necklace using this pendant that I made the night of that Very Berry kit. And to do that, I'm going to make a bar necklace. And I'm going to be decorating the bar with some beads that go along with this. There were these dark blue sparkly beads from the kit. There's a bunch of these leaf beads that I wanted to use, and then these beads were not in the kit. The other reds that were in there were either too pink or too orange to really go with the red of these beads. So I grabbed these from, I think it was the Chocolate Kisses kit from earlier. I don't know. It was a kit that had a whole bunch of red stuff in it. And I was like, okay, these reds are going to be perfect for it. So I'm going to use that. I'm going to use some 16 gauge wire. I've already got it cut off for the bit that I'm going to use. Probably I'm not going to use all of this. It's probably going to be a lot shorter about there, but I thought I'd cut more than I needed just in case. So I'm going to be using the wire, and I'm going to make a little bar with it, and we're going to use this 22 gauge green craft wire to wrap these beads onto the bar that this will also be hanging from. So we're going to use that, and then to finish it, I'm going to be using this Silversilk. It's a newer Silversilk product. It is leather cord that has had this fine gauge wire knitted around it, and so you get like leather cord with a bit more texture to it, a bit more dimension to it. And if you've got like a different color of leather with the cord over it, it changes the whole color of that. And I had some of this. I think I got it in a sampler pack actually, and it is such a great red, and it goes so well with this that I'm going to finish this off with it. So I'm gonna have this for part of my necklace. I'm also gonna be finishing it with the toggle bar clasp that came from my stash. I liked the little swirl on this toggle, and I thought it went well with the swirl on this bail that came in that kit. So I've got that and some jump rings for finishing that. For wire working tools, I'm going to be using my 6-step bail making pliers for making my loops. I'm going to be cutting my wire with some flush cutters. And if I need to make any bends or open and close jump rings, I'm just going to use these tweezer nose pliers. You could use chain nose pliers. Basically, any pliers will work for that. All right. The first step that I did though was with the leather cord, is I glued in these glue-in cord ends with some what are they called, head pins inside of them. in order to be able to have a loop at the end of each of these. And I actually glued these in a couple of days ago in order to give the glue time to cure for when I'm making this. So I'm gonna probably go back to the video that past Becky made where I showed you how to glue these in. I did it a couple of days ago, and I'll probably edit that here. Right, so this would be the part that I'm editing in later. All right, so I'm doing this for future Becky, and basically I am gluing the Silversilk into these end caps, and also gluing in a head pin so that I can have loops to attach things to. The glue that I'm using is some E6000, and I just have some of it here on a parchment paper so that I don't have any on my beading mat or anything like that. So I've just got this here. And in order to prep the end of the Silversilk leather chain, I'm just pinching it on the end so that all of the bits of chain here on the end lay flat and kind of hug the leather so they all go inside of the glue and end cap. And then the glue and end cap, you can see it's got a little hole here on the end. So I've got a head pin that I'm going to just drop right into it like that. And it just ends up here on the end of the glue and end cap. And so after everything's dried, then I'll be able to clip it shorter and make a little loop on it in order to have an attachment point for the rest of my necklace. All right, so let's get this leather into this end cap, and you can see it fits really snugly in here. So the glue is just going to make sure that it does not come out. So I've got my glue, and I just take my leather bit, and it's already starting to kind of harden up there, so let's get some of the stuff under it that's still gluey and not as tacky. I just want some, I already glued the other 3, so there we go. That should be enough. Now I'm gonna go ahead and stick this into here. As far as I can, and I'm just gonna, there's some excess glue. I'm gonna pinch that off and pull it away because I can do that, and then roll it up between my fingers. That's the best way to deal with that E6000. All right, so now that I've got my end cap in here with my head pin, I'm gonna just set these aside, let them finish curing, and then future me can start the rest of this video that you've already seen before now. And then she'll just edit that in there. And then after she edits that in there, then we'll pick up from here. And then now that I'm done with that video, you know how to glue this on, and you know that it's another day because my fingers are different. Anyway, time travel is weird. Now I'm going to show you how to make that loop with the head pin that's on there. This is in here pretty well. It's not going anywhere, but I want to be able to make a little loop with my head pin so that I can attach things to it. So I'm pinching this pretty hard while I bend my head pin over like that. And then I'm going to take about my finger till about where my fingernail starts if I'm holding it. I'm going to get about that much of the wire. And you hold on to this so it doesn't go flying, by the way. And now that I've got that cut off, I'm gonna bend this back. Oh, these, by the way, these are just round nose pliers. And that's just for this part of it. It'll be the last time that I use them. There we go. And that makes me a little loop right there at the end of these for when we get finished with what we're doing. So let me get these tools out of the way, and we're going to be working with these. And this 16 gauge wire. Now it'll probably work as well, maybe as well. It might be a little bit softer, and it might bend a little bit more as you're wearing it if you use 18 gauge wire, but I'm using the 16 gauge wire. Kristen did a really great series recently. It was like a couple of months long, where every week she made a new piece in her a sun catcher. So she made a new shape and attached it every week, and then decorated that. Now I'm just straightening this out with my fingers. You can also use nylon jaw pliers to do that, but it's also kind of warming it up a little bit. This came actually with this bend in it, and instead of like unbending it and then bending it back, I'm just going to ahead and keep it. I'm going to push this in a little bit more this way. Grab my flush cutters, because rather than bending the wire back and then straightening it out and getting it back in again in order to have myself a nice loop at the end of my thing, I'm just going to use the curve and the bend that's already there. All right, so now that I've got that, I'm using the smallest of the loops on my 6-step bail making pliers, and I'm just going to close this completely like that. And I'm not bending it back to make this straight, because it doesn't need to be straight for me. This is going to be the start of my bar, and I'm going to wait until I get it wrapped the rest of the way to form my ending loop. All right, so I'm going to set that down here and pull off a goodly amount of this wire. If I run out of wire halfway through, it's fine. I can just add more. But I'm going to pull out, I think probably more than an arm span is going to be a little too much. But I'm going to be wrapping it around here, so I'm going to need a decent amount. And I'm just going to run it through my fingers a little bit, and it's probably going to bump into things as we go through. And that's just going to need to be okay with me. And I'm okay with it. You'll be okay with it. All right. But yeah, it's this nice green color. It came in the kit. It goes really great with all the Very Berry things. So I'm going to get this started. I'm going to start wrapping at this end. And I'm going to leave myself like about 3 inches, because I'm going to come back and make myself a little curlicue spiral when I'm done with this. So I'm just going to pinch both of these and start wrapping around. 1, 2, 3. All right, so I'm leaving this so that I can come back with my curlicues. And now I'm going to string on the first bead onto my wire. And it's going to be one of these leaves. Here, let me show you how I've got it planned out. Leaf, and then a blueberry, and then a leaf, and then one of these red guys, and then a leaf, and then a blueberry, and then a leaf, and then one of these red guys. And then when it gets to that part, we'll get our pendant on our bar. So we're starting with this leaf. So I am going to put this on and slide this all the way down here. And let's give it a little pinch. Now I want this to be sort of dangling from the bar. So I'm going to kind of slide it right up there where that was. And I'm going to pinch the leaf and the bar. And then I'm going to bend my wire around it. I'm just going to do 3 wraps. 2, and then 3. All right, now I'm ready for my next bead. And that gives me, a little leaf. It's going to be dangling there. And now I'm going to put one of these blueberry colored beads over here. And this is going to be like the front of my, you can tell it's blue when the light is shining behind it, but otherwise it looks a little bit black. Okay. Now, pinching this while I move my wire around. That way it'll stay in the right place. And then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 times around my wire. And I'm just going to keep wrapping while I add a bead until I get to the center. And every time I add a bead, I'm going to pinch it and hold the wire, and then I'm going to bend my green wire around so that it gets held in place. So now I've got another leaf. Pinching all of these while I move my wire up along here so that they stay in place. 1, 2, 3. And it's just 3 wraps between each of these. All right, so let's do a little bit more. This is one of the reasons why I did not choose a ton of these beads, because it does take a little bit of time to get these in place, and you want to be very careful with them because they are glass beads and this is wire, and we don't want to break any of these beads while we are getting them on here. All right, I think this is going to be perfect for this right here. 1, 2, 3. Okay. I think maybe, there we go. Yeah, I'm going to rotate it up that way. All right, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4 more beads left before I get to the main focal part of this. So let's get the rest of these on here. leaf and then bead, and then leaf and then bead. I think Very Berry was an appropriate name for this kit. 1, 2, 3. These are all leaning in the same direction. No, I'm fine with that. I am fine with that. All right, now let's get one of these bloob ones on here. Get you right back there. This is 1. Sorry, I keep hitting the camera. 2, 3. I like it. It's very like Italian kitchen. Do you remember that home decor craze? Oh man. We did not have that in our house, but I had friends. The whole Tuscan kitchen. One, 2, 3. All right, now last bead before I put on my focal. I'm just going to scooch these guys up next to each other a little bit. All right. Pinching it. Going 1, 2, 3. And I think I want my wire just to lap over there. I'm going to grab my focal and I'm going to put it through the green wire. And through the silver wire, or I'm going to put the silver wire through it, through the bail, so that I have both of these coming out of here. There we go. No, I'm backwards. That is not the way I want this to be. I'm going to turn that around. Logistics. Here we go. All right, and since I am already editing things, I am going to go ahead and skip forward to the part where I have wrapped the rest of these on this side using this wire. And making it so that I can do that. 1, 2. Move out of the way, buddy. 3. Oops. Because once I've got the rest of my beads on here, then we'll go ahead and make another loop. at the end, and then we'll do our spirals with our leftover wire once I have that on that side. So let me skip to that part so you don't have to sit here and watch me wire wrapping for like the next half hour. And then when I come back, we will finish up the necklace. All right, so I have my last leaf in place. I've got my whole thing. I went ahead and started kind of bending it gently to give it kind of a curve because I don't want it to be like a straight bar, and it is a little bit longer than a straight bar should be, so it's going to be kind of a bent bar when we do this. It'll give it a better shape around the neck. So now that I've got my last leaf in place, I'm just going to wrap 3 times, just like all the others. 1, 2, 3. Only instead of adding another bead, I'm going to take about 3 inches away from this. Well, I'm not good at estimating inches. There we go. That much of that. And I have plenty more left to do other things with, like use on those earrings that I need to figure out how to do that with. I also still have my whole spool, so that's going to be pretty great. But I'm going to go set this aside with the rest of my stuff. So now that I've got that, I want to, and I also know how long this is going to be, I'm going to need to do another little loop over here on this end. So I'm going to give myself about, that looks about right. Actually, you know what would be better? Is if I went ahead and used this and wrapped the metal around. I'd like it to go in the same direction as the other. So again, I'm using the smallest curve. Now I can snap off that end and finish making my loop. There we go. So now I have a curve on both ends, and I have all of my beads wire wrapped, and I curved it gently with my fingers as I was going. That's all I did with this. So let's make our spirals. To do that, I am going to be using these round nose pliers initially. Actually, I think that might be a little too long. I don't want too much of a spiral. Let's shorten these up a little bit more. There we go. So the secret to a good spiral is to go slow and be patient. Let's get in a little bit closer. So I'm just going to take the end of this and just grip it tightly right at the very end of that and curve this in. And then once it starts curving onto itself, I'm going to want to curve around like this, just gripping the wire, the flat bit of this wire in my pliers to hold it, and then pushing. I'm almost pushing the wire against the coil, not the coil against the wire. And just giving it a little turn. Actually, I'm going to switch over here to these flatter pliers. I'm just going to leave this right here. My little spiral. I'm going to do the same thing over here on this side. Start at the very end of it. You start to form it around it. You go slow. There's no hurry. You don't have places to be. I actually do have places to be, by the way. That's okay, because I'm going to finish this first. Alright. Oof. Spiral. Spiral. And I've got all my leaves. It helps it gives it more of an organic look. Let's go back out here. So the other part, the rest of this is going to be opening and closing jump rings. It's fairly straightforward. I'm going to use a jump ring to attach one end of my the Silversilk leather chain is what they're called. It's one of the newer products that they have on their site. And one of the things is I'm using these glue-in end cords, these end caps, but you can also use, it's the same diameter as the pipe chain. So you could use the pipe chain ends as well to open or to end these. I just happen to have these handy and available, and I was all out of my silver colored pipe chain and cap thingies, cord ends. So I decided to go ahead and try out this method of gluing in the cord ends. All right. And I actually like it. It looks pretty nice. Oop. Close this guy up. Right, so you got the leather chain attached there. Let's attach the other end to this side. And again, this leather chain I did the other day, so it would have time to, what's the word, cure? So the glue would have time to cure before we did this. There's nothing like having the ends pop off of your chain or your leather or your cord or something while you're in the middle of trying to finish stuff up. Okay. All right. Now, for the very end, I want to put my closure on here. So let's get more jump rings. Let's attach our closures. And then we will be done with this necklace. But yeah, this is something that, like, when I made this pendant, I was like, I gotta make a necklace that, like, accentuates that and really goes with it. And also gave me a chance to play around with this leather cord, which is really fun. I've been enjoying this. I'll put links to Nile's site too for the leather cord so you can see what they've got. But this is one of the colors that they have, and it is a really, really great red. All right. Let's get our toggle on. And I actually have some left over that I can use for a bracelet or something. I think that'll be pretty rad. Oof, nice. Okay. So here is my necklace using the pendant from the TGBE kit, the Very Berry kit. And some Silversilk leather chain. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me. Bye.